The end of One Punch Man is here. Chapter 170 of the One Punch Man manga is one of the most important yet, as it tells us the future events of the story, such as the end of the world, superhero Garou versus evil Saitama, and of course, season 3 of If you couldn't already tell from our videos lately, the world of One Punch Man is in a spot of bother.
Oh, fuck.
Now, you might think that we're trolling, but no. Chapter 170 further reveals that this is the case and confirms the final arc of One Punch Man. During season 2 of the anime, Shibabawe sees the greatest disaster of the era is about to strike and that the Earth is in danger. As she is about to pass away, she looks on with complete fear and despondence at her crystal ball and the appearance of the destruction of planet Earth. Those of you with the notification bell on will know that the topic of eras in One Punch Man is extremely important. The planet has experienced numerous eras. According to My Mask in chapter 119 of the webcomic, he describes how people once competed for land in wars until aiding future generations became more important. However, as factors like climate change once more changed the Earth, the effects of war continued to linger, forcing the population to move to a single continent in order to survive. Humans such as Adam and Eve adapted to their environment, and despite being weak, this magnificent feature of their design is what puts them above other creatures and why they were able to survive on Earth. It is stated that humanity was able to withstand all of this because they were constant environmental beings. But as we've mentioned before on the channel, modern society in One Punch Man is now at its breaking point, just as Garou states in this chapter. Humanity has become over-reliant on a single system: heroes. There's no longer a strive to survive anymore, thus humanity begins to regress in their avenue of evolution. The half-assed peace leads to complacency, and complacency leads to evil, which brings us straight back to era number 1, one of infighting and war. So don't get it twisted. Yes, Garou did get his ass kicked in not 1 but 2 timelines, however he is still right. The problem is, whilst he was blabbering on about all of this, he was actually being interrogated for the diner dash he committed in chapter 88, not his absolute evilness. The thing to note here though regarding everything that Shibabawa and Garou have tried warning us about is that the Hero Association actually know. They say how bolstering our forces for the Great Prophecy is what's important. The Hero Association is in dire need of strong heroes, no matter the backlash, as Silverfang, the S-Class rank 3 hero, has officially retired. This is obviously a great loss, not just for the Hero Association, but for the world at large, as they've lost one of their most reliable pillars. However, Bang didn't simply leave the Hero Association hopeless. He stated that his successor will join them very soon, and that successor is none other than Charanko.
Stop the cap.
Okay, it's obviously Garou. On one hand, Garou is a true menace who caused a lot of destruction and has sent countless heroes to hospital, but he is also strong enough to deal with multiple dragon level threats alone and still has potential to grow further, truly making him the perfect successor to Silverfang, who is regarded as the greatest and the most important martial artist of all time. But wait, I know what you're thinking. Garou was let off of all of his shenanigans with no consequences and he gets to be a hero now? Well, yeah. Welcome to the world of justice, everyone. Why do you think that Garou was so dissatisfied in the first place? What this world truly needs is absolute evil. Mwahahaha. After Bang found Garou at one of their secret training grounds, he's been getting him through all of these investigations and making him apologise to everybody he has harmed. After all, despite his best efforts, Garou never actually harmed anybody physically.
I'm confused right now, G.
Yes, he maybe be responsible for destroying the livelihoods of 1,000 or 2,000 people, but he also saved tons of lives in the process too. Garou has saved Tario a bunch of times, he saved members of the Hero Association in chapter 161, saved Bang from Führer Ugly, a bunch of civilians in chapter 163, and the icing on the cake, even King seemed to have backed him up. We even see in this chapter that Garou's actions have helped the next generation. Not only does Tario look up to him as a superhero, but the whole ordeal has led to Waganma maturing, befriending Tario, and Tario even becoming pals with his bullies. The effect this has had is especially with Waganma, who in a way can be seen as evidence for Garou's ideology. This brat had everything in life. He was complacent and didn't need to worry about anything. However, after experiencing evil and hardship, he matured to the point that he is sharing his toys with others. The same thing can be said for Earth, as they just experienced planet-level threats in Psychos Orochi, Evil Ocean Water, and Elder Centipede. The whole planet understands that they can't stay complacent. They will put aside their differences and classism and share their toys with everyone without bias. That is what is required for humanity to survive. The humans will have to adapt to this new reality, similar to how they have always adapted to each era in the webcomic I mentioned earlier. This adaptation can be seen with the heroes in the Hero Association, who are willing to accept Garou as Bang's successor because they have matured themselves. All of this means that Garou is free to continue his training in order to rediscover his fist, which means it's time for a tournament arc, baby! Garou asks Bang to arrange a battle tournament for the heroes he fought against as a monster. This list includes Bang, Flashy Flash, Blast, and of course, that weird bald guy, Saitama. The fact that Garou mentioned Blast is an interesting one. After all, the Garou we see now in the story never actually faced off against Blast. Whilst it may be the case that some of Cosmic Fear's Garou's memories reside within, we have to remember that in chapter 169 that the credit of defeating Garou was given to Blast. So as far as everyone is aware, even Saitama himself, Blast is the one responsible for ending the war. That is why Garou now wants to test himself against Blast in this timeline properly, as he believes that if he fights against everyone again in the same order as he did in his monster form, he will be able to achieve that disaster level god state again, but this time naturally without the interference of God. This time of course as a hero. After all, by the end of the story, both he and Saitama along with Blast must reach that insane power level that they achieved on the moon of Jupiter again in order to protect the Earth from complete destruction. The Hero Association and the government see Garou's masterclass abilities as a ray of hope for humanity at large, even if they do know it will be met with heavy criticism both internally and externally. But this only adds more depth to the events of the webcomic. During that version of the One Punch Man story, we are introduced to the Neo Heroes, an advanced group of heroes that rival the Hero Association as they deem them to be dishonest and self-serving. Thus, the Neo Heroes are created to shine a light on what true heroism is, to the point where even some members of the Hero Association jump ship and join them. This divide between the Hero Association and the Neo Heroes will only be made more prevalent after chapter 170 of the One Punch Man manga, as the hiring of Garou will be met with tons of backlash by both the heroes and the public. But bringing this all back to why you clicked on the video, Garou is in fact essential for the heroes, as he is one of the only few capable of saving the world from the prophecy at large. And you all know what that prophecy is too, right? Of course, it is God. Throughout the Monster Association arc, this celestial being known as God has been built up as the true final villain of the manga. Even Metal Knight is aware of this. He said to Child Emperor, "There's another kind of evil lurking in the shadows, watching, waiting. Do not trust anyone, even if they seem too close. And with just a fraction of God's power, Garou became strong enough to kill all humans on the planet in minutes and had the ability to destroy all of Earth with ease as well. Hence, even thinking about God's true power is mind-boggling, as none of us know how truly strong he may be. Although I'm not ruling out that he might just get one-shotted by Saitama still.
You're joking.
Okay, but in all seriousness though, the fight against Garou works as evidence that God may not get one punched after all. In fact, there's an even greater chance that Garou, Blast, and Saitama may end up fighting against God together.
Hold on, what?
Because if our theory is correct, and God purposely created the shift in eras and placing limiters on everyone to coerce humanity into reaching the point of complacency and the reliance on power so that he could control them all and use them to carry out his will, then it is to be expected that just like Saitama, God too is a limitless being. After all, Saitama is labelled as the fist that went against God, meaning that by breaking his limiters, he went against God's will. But the fight between Saitama and Garou also confirmed two more extremely important things. One, alternate timelines exist, and two, that God is after an avatar. After witnessing Saitama's strength, who better to become his avatar than Saitama himself?
No way!
God could manipulate a Saitama from an alternate universe with the promise of giving him somebody worth fighting. That is Saitama's goal, after all. That somebody being Saitama. God said in chapter 164 that in order to counter the fist that went against God is by using the fist of God. However, in reality, the way to combat a fist that went against God is with a fist that went against God of your own. At the end of the day, One Punch Man is a satire of Battle Shonen, and what happens in every Battle Shonen? Each new villain has to be stronger than the last. And with Cosmic Fear Garou, we got somebody who was able to partially mimic Saitama's capabilities. The only problem was that he couldn't keep up with the rate that Saitama was growing at. So, by using this shonen logic and combining it with how One Punch Man parodies said logic, the next stronger villain would be none other than the main character himself, just evil. I mean, come on, we all remember Goku Black, right? It's basically the same thing. Is he though? Now, if you want to fight off the evil version of yourself, then make sure you take your gamer subs. It's important. Just remember to click the link in the description for 10% off. You can even get yourself a free sample if you fancy it. I'm not going to stop you. Also, click the video on your screen right now because a little birdie tells me that it's a banger.